I know it's strange, isn't it? I'm talking about sports other than hockey, but here we are again. So day 3, and now we're really into it. France wins on a late goal over Australia, and I feel for the Aussies on this one. It seems like every time the Aussies are in this, there's this one heartbreaking loss. And if they came out of this one with a point, you'd have to like their chances of at least going into game 3 in the round robin with a chance of making it to the next round. I don't like their chances now. And France, huge win. You know, these final minutes of games have been really dramatic, and it's actually been a lot of fun in this tournament. And I don't have the stats, but I'm thinking that it's unusual to see so many games decided with just a few minutes left. Just feels different. And so many games that are this close in the round robin. I would expect that in the second round and the elimination rounds, but you know, first round this is surprising. But as much as we may have been surprised by what Australia was able to do, almost getting that point with France. How about that Lionel Messi? Now, yesterday I did the video on Cristiano Ronaldo and how he tied Spain. And right away, and expected, can't say Ronaldo's the best player in the world because Messi's the best player in the world. Here's the problem. He missed that penalty. Iceland, a country with 350,000 people in it, comes away with a 1-1 tie. In the most amazing result since, I would think, Mighty Ducks' second movie, where they were in the World Championships for some reason. Iceland ties the Argentinians. And that missed penalty by Messi, that could be huge. Now, I can't see them dropping out of the top 2. I really can't. But it may lead to them finishing second in the group, and they may find themselves potentially facing a tougher opponent in round 2 than they might have had to worry about had they won the game against Iceland. And I'm not trying to diminish what Iceland did here, because anytime that there's this kind of a result in a soccer game, you go the full 90, and it's a draw, you have to tip your hat to the underdog that pulls off that point. So Iceland, this is the equivalent of winning it, as far as I'm concerned, for Iceland. And then they moved on to Denmark, Peru, and I saw most of this game. I think I missed like 2 minutes of it. It was hard to watch in parts. There was a lot of chess going on. This was one of those games that it felt like both teams were kind of holding back. A missed penalty by Peru in the first half. That's going to haunt that kid, I would think. When you have a chance to score a goal in a game that's this defensive and this close. Honestly, I think the Danes were better throughout the game, but Peru was right there. And if he'd scored on that penalty in the first half, maybe it goes differently. Maybe they're able to lock it down in the second half. Maybe they get the win. But again, you're into maybes. So now the situation they're in is they've lost to Denmark. They have to beat, or at least get a draw with France, and then hope from there. I would think they beat the Australians. I'd be very surprised if the Australians don't come out of this group with 3 losses, to be completely honest. But I always pull for Aussies to overachieve, so let's hope they eventually do. And that being said, it is probably going to be France and Denmark, and that should be one heck of a matchup to decide who finishes first in that group. It's as close to a group of death, I think, as we've got in this tournament. And then another Group D matchup. Croatia beats Nigeria 2-0. The Nigerians weren't really... I think the score almost flatters the Nigerians in this one. If Croatia had been able to finish off a couple of the opportunities they had, and especially considering a Nigerian goaltender at tender age of 19 being the starter, that's got to be rough. You know, hey, here's your first game. You get Croatia, one of the better teams in the world, and it's on the world stage again in Russia, World Cup. Here you go, kid. I thought he acquitted himself rather well. I thought the Nigerians... The one thing I want to mention in this tournament that I've noticed, and I know this happens a lot in football/soccer, whatever you call it. What the hell is with the diving? And it happens every tournament, and yet every 4 years when I see it, I'm like, wow. And then they show the replay, and yeah, maybe it's a little bit of a whatever, but within a couple of minutes, the guy's up and he's walking it off, or he's running, or he's still playing. But when it happens, and the way I used to do it when I'd watch these games was I would start quoting the movie JFK, which I've never seen, but of course the highlights are all over. So back and to the left, back and to the left, just like you're watching the replay of a shooting. It's and I used to say, and I still say, and he's been shot. As these players go down and they writhe on the ground like they are in the worst agony in the history of the world, and then the referee does or doesn't call a penalty, and when they know whether or not it's going to be a penalty, they get back up, and they're fine. And we complain about diving. I complain when I watch hockey about guys snapping their heads back when a stick didn't touch them, or they barely get touched and they snap their head back like, "Oh, I'm dead." It's embarrassing on this stage. It really is. And to me, it looked like the Nigerian players were kind of trying to play that up, and the referee was like, "I'm not buying anything you guys are selling." It's just kind of weird because it's a world stage, and I understand that drawing a penalty in that situation could be huge, but it just looks silly. It looks really, really silly. And like if you get kicked in the shin or kicked in the ankle at full speed, like it hurts like hell. Those sting. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these glancing blows that you'll see, and you have to look at the replay, and you're like, right there it touched him, and then there he didn't. The other thing I noticed and I wanted to bring up today is how about those instant replays, huh? France gets a goal out of one, and then there's a penalty out of one, which Peru was nice enough to miss. So the instant replays are quick. I will say that for this. These instant replays are quick. Other sports could learn from the World Cup. Referee goes over, looks, and goes, there we go, walks away. There's no calling upstairs. There's no 8.5 minutes on a phone talking back and forth. It's quick, it's done, and the right call gets made. So we'll see how this works. And all I can think when I saw that was, where was this on Diego Maradona's Hand of God goal? I was never a Diego Maradona fan. So the Hand of God goal to me is still frustrating. But there you go. More soccer coverage from a guy who normally talks hockey after talking some golf today. So, yeah. I do watch other sports. This is kind of when people say, what do you do when there's no hockey? Here's this. This works. And tonight we're going to go and see Deadpool 2. So there'll be a review for that on this channel tonight. And there's some other television stuff too. I haven't got her through Orphan Black yet, but when we get through all of the Orphan Black seasons and we can sit and talk about it together, we will. But if you haven't seen Orphan Black, you need to watch it. So there's that. But for today, we're done. I'm not getting up at 3 in the morning to watch the early game. I'm not doing that. I will be able to watch the last 2 games most days, I would think. I might be able to catch the tail end of the second game, and then watch games 3 and 4 on some days, but it's not happening. Anyways, but there you go. There's my admission. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Argentina, Iceland. How shocking was this? And for the poor Peruvian kid that missed that goal, the penalty. It happens, and sometimes guys just clear the net by a lot. It's hard on that World Cup stage where everybody's watching, including a Canadian. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I'll talk to you again soon.